Thank you for that, Born. You've been so kind. So I am the practice head for Cognizant for the Philippines, and I've been there for about the past 5 years, growing that division from essentially 100 people to 700 people, supplying over 18 different clients around the globe. So I have a real understanding of what it takes to bring an organization from something to nothing. But most importantly, the work that we've done together to keep people, to create that sense of purpose within the organization is so critical. And I'm happy here. I'm happy to be here to help talk about those times in which we have created that sense of purpose in the organization to make it go forward at an accelerated rate. So I think it's very simple, right? If I think about organizations in the past and in today, and most leaders, they talk about strategy and execution, and that delivers results. And while that is true, and those are essential pillars, what we miss out on is creating that sense of purpose, right? By galvanizing people together and creating great teams. And so with you, Bjorn, I've been able to do that on multiple occasions. One that stands out for me the most is when we were working at NCO and we were helping the sprint team get back on track, right? We're at six in the competitive arena that we were in, and within 2 months we were able to come from that number to 2 of 6. So and we use the same people, right? Same processes, the same tools, but what was different is how we got the team energized, powered around creating a sense of purpose and energy for the team, and that drove the team to success. So it's that type of work that we've done that comes to mind and has great value for me. I don't think any leader today just wants to be known for strategy, execution, and results, though those are good. We want to be known for creating great companies where people want to migrate to. The talent today is so competitive. The question is not in the industry, do I need a job, right? But do I want to work with you? That's the question today, and working with you, I've answered that question in a positive way for many of my employees. And I think you bring to the table a set of tools. If you think of IT, there is software, right? Software as a service. If I think about your skill sets, you bring sense of purpose as a service, right? And you have a set of tools. We talk about vector dynamics. We talk about being able to give feedback in an encouraging, positive way. We talk about lifelines. We talk about, we deploy creating a vision and values within an organization and how important those are. So that suite of tools, just like software development, whether you're doing agile or whether you're doing regular software development, using those tools in the right fashion, right? Bring that to the table and help us move along. I think I'll take the single biggest thing that comes away from working with you and having my teams there is the authenticity that the teams enjoy, the open honesty through authenticity that comes from working with each other, right? And I would say it's not a one and done process, right? This is something that as a leader you need to invest in over and over again. As you know, I would have 3 or 4 different offsites reiterating that message so that people would imbibe that, and then having projects where we allow them to be authentic, right, and to challenge and to come up with ideas on their own. So I think that is a central theme, right? And then of course there's integrity, right? So when we talk about foundation of values, right, that keeps us honest, right? That integrity is a solid platform in there, right? And then we also, I throw in something, I take from my lifetime experience, which is honor, right? So authenticity, integrity, and honor are key components that, as values that hold the team together. Other things can be creative, but you have to stand by those 3 components. So Bjorn, what you bring to the table that's unique, is that you try to look at that overall solution, right? And in that, you do a pre-assessment, right? You sit down with the leaders and do a pre-assessment. Throughout the session, waiting and taking notes. At the end of the session, you do a debrief with the leaders, right? And then finally, you do a recap, right? So all those three things ensures, in my perspective, it shows that you're not there as a transactional lecturer, right? You're there as a person who wants to provide an end-to-end solution to move forward and capture that, right? And so you're invested in making sure that happens. I think that's the biggest thing I take away is you're vested in my success. Yeah, you bring back that deep memory, right? So I think it's a couple of things, right? So I've spent over 5 years of my life 500 feet below the surface of the ocean, 1,000 miles from nowhere, working with men and understanding their behaviors and realizing who has true grit, right? That's when I was in the U.S. Navy and I operated nuclear power submarines. So I understand human nature. I understand what to look for in true grit. And so I knew that my people had it. The sense of purpose had to be unleashed with grit. And so I was willing to make that bet, right? An all-in bet, not a, there's always the question of who has more on the table, the chicken or the pig, right? So I stood up as the pig and put money up front and told the organization, I make this bet, and if successful, you compensate me for making that bet. And so, yeah, I made the bet. I had the right people. I had the facilitator in you, and I won. I think from my perspective, Bjorn, we're not brothers and sisters, brothers kind of thing of that in that nature. Yeah, in that nature at that time. Yeah. But I saw the elements that you brought to the table, right? I talked about that tool set, right? And that's what was most interesting. Do you have a tool set to help move there? Have you done this before and are comfortable in doing that? And I see you. See you in the room and you're challenging our people, right? I see you asking the tough questions of them, right? Being able to pick up what they're saying and ask that tough question to get them to really think about the process. And I had seen you and knew you for that, and I was confident that you would bring that to the table. And again, the key thing was you acted as a consultant. More of a consultant, you were vested in it, so you're always checking in with them. You're always asking, are we moving on the right path? Is this the right outcome that you're looking for? And you will even challenge me to say, Keith, I think you should do something different. So that's what I was looking for in you, and not a transactional consultant, but a person who looks the solution. You have a great analogy around popcorn. And that you put it in the microwave, and the first 30 seconds there's really not a lot of activity, right? But over time that activity rises and percolates, and then it reaches a crescendo, right? So I actually saw that in my team, right? A couple of weeks, there wasn't, people feel their way around. What is this? This is different. This is unique. It's a little bit outside of my comfort zone, right? But as we did it over and over again, if you remember, every week we were meeting for about 4 hours, right? So it was repetitive and engagement. People started to open up. They started to work closer together. They started to share their real feelings, right? And understand, and came to fruition of, emotionally, what did they want to get out of this, but to be able to translate that emotion into action that produce results where we move from number 6 to number 2. I think around our last session, you had everybody stand up and say what they are committed to, right? And what I saw in that is how people spoke from their heart, not just their mind. around their commitment and what they wanted to do, right? And when there were people that didn't speak from the heart, you didn't let them off, right? You kept asking questions so you can get what resonated in the spirit of people. Again, as business leaders, we know we have to have strategy, we know we have to have the execution, and we know we have to drive results, right? But what we're talking about is an accelerant in the type of solution you bring to the table that accelerates those results and is long-lasting, keeping people bounded together with authenticity, integrity, and honor. So that's what you bring to the table, and that's what I value. Well, I think I think those leaders want results. Yes. And so getting to number 2, they were just extremely happy that we were getting to number 2 because that secured the account for them. How we got there, I think, was a mystery to them, even though I laid that out, right? But I did share the tools with them, right? And I did make that bet with them, right? And so I think absolutely from a leadership perspective, the outcome is what justified the means, right? And so they were very happy with that outcome, but they know that I did it with passion and heart. Their question is, how do we capture that and move it to the rest of the organization? And you might remember that after that, I was asking for the entire NCO region, and we created what's called the Great 8K. How do we move from 5,000 people to 8,000 great employees in 2 years? And we started a similar journey and successful in that journey as well. So first and foremost, right, I recommend to any leader that they have to understand that it requires sweat equity on their part, right? This is not an easy ride. It's not a flip a switch and it's done. It's not a hands off, right? It's a sweat equity. That's one. Second is, find the right partner who understands that it's a solution of tools that we bring to the table and is going to work with you hand in hand throughout that journey, like you do, right? And there may be other people in the world as well that do this. I'm sure there are. But I've worked with you, I've built that trust, and I know your competency. So I would say absolutely leverage you, right? So I think those are the 2 things. And then thirdly is, you got to make sure you do have the right people, right? You have the right mindset of people on that, right? Because you will always have people who are naysayers to the success of the project, right? But if you put the right sweat equity, you get the right total solution support from a person like yourself, Bjorn. You can make that happen with most of your people. I think be ready to be challenged, right? Think beyond your typical norms, because you will bring that. Think about an elevated leadership style, right? And probably they should also avail of your coaching skills, right? For one-on-one, your coaching skills. I think people can miss out on that opportunity because they're looking at something else. But even your personal coaching can help an individual accelerate the way they interact within their entire organization. So don't miss out on both your consulting skills and both your direct coaching skills.